Hello, this video is going to be on the Sicilian Najdorf with 6 bishop g5. The opening moves are e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight f6, knight c3, and a6. This is signaling the Najdorf. Okay, bishop g5. Alright. So black plays e6 here. And now the main move is f4. But first, if white plays queen f3, we play h6, bishop h4, and knight bd7. Castle's long, queen c7, bishop e2, bishop e7. The sample variation continues. Queen e3, g5 to prepare knight e5, and knight e5. And now this knight on e5 is going to be a really great piece. It can't really be attacked by f4 because g5 will just take it. Okay, let's back up. Alright, so the main move is f4, and after f4, here's the move in the video that it recommends, is bishop d7. Usually, so bishop d7, it's kind of a rare move, but it is interesting. So let's first go over it. Let's see what happens if white pushes the pawn to e5 and tries to take advantage of the pinned knight. Well, first we take with the pawn, and after the pawn takes back, queen c7. And now if he tries to take the knight, then we have queen e5 check, winning the bishop. And if the knight defends the pawn with knight f3, then we can attack the pawn with knight g4, and if queen e2, then knight c6, attacking the pawn for the third time. So if white defends it with bishop f4, now we bring our bishop out to b4, and now we're setting up a deadly tactic here, a combination rather. If white attacks our knight, then we attack the queen with knight d4, and after knight takes, bishop takes knight, and after pawn takes bishop, queen takes pawn check, and we're going to win the rook. Okay, we're backing up. Now if the queen protects instead of the knight, if queen e2 protecting the pawn, and now this stops knight g4, then what we play here is we bring our bishop out to b4, and we're setting up this combination again on c3. So the bishop drops back to d2. We take, and the reason why we take is now we play knight d5, attacking the bishop, gaining more time. And when the bishop drops back, we play knight c6, finishing development. And if the knight trades, we take with our bishop, castles, castles, and this is roughly equal. Alright, let's back up. Okay, after f4, bishop d7, we went over e5. Now let's go over queen e2. If white tries to prepare e5, now we play h6, pushing the bishop back, bishop e7, castle's long by white, knight c6 by black, and now if knight takes knight, we take back with our bishop, eyeing e4, putting pressure on the e4, and if white pushes with e5, then we have this familiar maneuver, knight d5. We're going to see this again and again in these variations with the bishop g5 line. Okay, let's continue. So if bishop takes bishop, we can take back with the queen. That's one idea. And the idea is that if white tries to take advantage of the pin, with knight takes knight, bishop takes bishop, and c4, we have queen takes pawn check. Okay, backing up. Alright, now if e5, so after e5, we can so we just looked at knight takes knight, bishop takes knight. We looked at that, and we looked at e5 there. But now if white plays e5 right now on move 11, then we play knight takes knight, attacking the queen, and after rook takes, pawn takes, attacking the rook, pawn takes pawn, and now for the familiar maneuver knight d5. And here if knight takes knight, then we take the bishop, and if bishop takes e7, the knight takes knight, attacking the queen, and we trade queens. Then with knight takes queen with check, so bishop takes knight, rook takes bishop, and this is not too bad for black. White's gonna have be able to double rooks on the d file, but we have e5 as a potential weakness, and the bishop can be good on the long diagonal if we can get to it before white can. Alright, let's back up. Alright, f4. We just went over queen e2. Now let's go over f5. We play e5, attacking the knight, and after knight f3, a sample variation continues. Bishop c6, bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, bishop c4, knight d7, and we can try to play h5 and bishop h6 to develop our dark square bishop. Maybe queen c7 first to protect the pawn, and we're looking at playing b5 as well, b5 and maybe b4, the usual counterplay in the Sicilian Najdorf. Alright, let's back up. So that was f5. Now let's go over. Now if they play queen d2, they can fall for a trap here. You play h6, and after h6 they have to take the knight, and then you take back with the queen, and you have the bishop pair, and this isn't really what white wants. So if they drop it back, then you have knight takes pawn, winning a pawn with a better position. So now to the main move, queen f3. This is the main line. You play knight c6, attacking the knight because the queen just left the d file. So knight c6, attacking d4, and if castles, now we have 4 moves here. We have queen c7, queen b6, queen a5, or knight takes knight. First let's go over knight takes knight, rook takes knight, bishop c6. Now white can play bishop e2 or bishop c4. If bishop e2, bishop e7, rook hd1, queen a5. Now queen a5 is allowing white to capture the knight, and after we take back to win a pawn. But after bishop takes c3, white's most likely is going to take back with the queen instead of taking back with the pawn, leaving a damaged king, a damaged center, pawn center in front of the king with queen still on. So white will probably take back with his queen, and this will be a good endgame for black. After we trade, and bishop takes pawn. Now material is even, and white has the d file, double rooks on the d file, but we have double pawns on the c file as a potential target. Alright, let's back up. Okay, that was knight takes knight. Now let's go over queen b6. This move from the video, from what Nigel Davies said, is not played that much, and it's kind of new terrain in some sense. One idea is to, after knight b3, to force the knight away from its good square on d4, and then we can castle long. And queen a5, this is interesting. Now is bishop f6, we take back with the pawn, and if f5, we take knight takes knight, rook takes knight, and queen a5, centralizing centralizing the queen. The rook drops back, castle long, bishop c4. Now we play h5 with the idea of playing bishop h6. And instead of bishop takes knight after queen a5, if g4, a sample variation continues, h5, knight b3, queen c7, pawn takes pawn, knight h5, bishop h3, knight f6, rook h1, rook c8, bishop f1, b5, a3, bishop b7, rook d2, b4, a takes b4, knight takes b4, bishop d3, queen b6. This is a sample game. f5, knight a2. We had this combination here, this tactic. Knight takes knight, queen takes b3, king b1, and now black should drop back with the queen b7 and have decent play, have decent counterattacking chances on the queen side. Alright, let's back up to queen a5. That was g4 we looked at. And now knight b3. If just knight b3 attacking the queen, we just drop back to c7. And the knights, we've accomplished something in some sense, because the knights moved away from d4 and is not in a as good, and at b3 is not as good a square as d4. Alright, so that was queen a5. Now let's go over the last move, queen c7. Actually, did I forget something on queen a5? Yeah, no I didn't. Alright, queen c7. Alright, bishop takes knight. Let's look at this first. Pawn takes bishop. f5. Knight e5, attacking the queen. Queen h5. Castles long. Now white plays g3 to try to take advantage of e6 to put pressure there with bishop h3. King b8. Bishop h3. And now black defends with queen c4. And black's queen can't be dislodged with b3 because the knight will hang. And this is adequate protection, adequate defense. And the rook develops to e1, rook c8, bishop f1, queen b4, and black has pressure. Okay, back to queen c7. Okay, we just looked at bishop takes knight. Now let's look at knight takes knight. We take back with the queen. And now white can play bishop e2, developing, or we can take the knight again. Bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6, f5. Black plays bishop e7, g3, castles, bishop h3, and this is roughly equal. Alright, that was the two variations. After queen c7, bishop takes knight, and knight takes knight. And I believe that's all I have for this bishop g5 line. I hope it was somewhat decent for you, and you enjoyed it. Peace to you, and amen.